to the bail reform laws, causing so many people to be upset. My guest tonight is Madeline Brame, and her son was killed in 2018,
Yes,
fatally stabbed in Manhattan on West 152nd Street.
Yes.
We have photos of him. He's an Army vet,
Yes.
Sergeant Hassan Correa.
Yes.
He served in Afghanistan. He was in the Air National Guard in New York,
Yes.
and a number of years in the
Yes.
U.S. Army.
8 years.
So he was stabbed in 2018 along with his father.
Yes.
And there were several people, multiple people
Yes.
charged in this case, including a woman and some of her brothers.
Yes.
Okay, so you're upset now because this woman was in jail since 2018 when she was caught, $750,000
Yes.
bail. She could not make it.
No.
All right, a week before Christmas, we find out the bail's going to be slashed to
Yes.
$12,000?
$12,000.
And what was the reason the judge accepted this?
Well, there were multiple reasons, but the main reason being the new bail reform law.
Even though a violent felony is not supposed to be part of this?
Yes.
So who told you, or what sense did you get that that was part of
Well,
the
because
bail?
I was in the courtroom the day of December 18th was the court date, and her lawyers requested to hear the bail, for the judge to hear the bail application again because of the new bail reform law.
Even though it had nothing to do with a murder
Nothing
case?
to do with it.
Okay.
It's not even, her charges are first degree gang assault and second degree murder.
Now, we have some pictures of your son and his family, and you
Yes.
said that your son's case in some ways was similar to Junior's case.
Yes.
And why do you say that?
I say that because of the way the whole entire incident was captured on video and security
And your
surveillance.
son was a
Yes.
father to 3 children,
Yes.
and we see them
Jason,
there.
Jordan, and Jaylani.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you know, he was there in his military
Yes.
attire with some of the children in the car.
Yes.
So this whole murder
Yes.
was caught on camera, but unlike Junior's case, the surveillance has not been released, right?
No.
The public has not seen
No.
the surveillance.
No.
And there's your family
Yes.
now, you're with your sons.
All of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
All my boys.
Yeah. So you haven't seen the surveillance of your son's murder?
I can if I want to, but it's just too much for me right now. Been going back and forth to court for 15 months, and the way it's described over and over and over again, hearing it, I really don't need to see the video. But the judges have seen the video.
And what do they say the woman did? Her name is Mary Saunders.
Mary Saunders, yes. That she actually held Hassan,
Your son.
yes, held him from fleeing. He was trying to run, all right? Because James stabbed him in the side.
That's another suspect?
Yes. James is the brother who actually did the stabbing.
That's Mary Saunders' brother.
Yes. And then there's Christopher Saunders. That's another brother.
So there are 2 brothers and a sister accused in the murder?
Yes. 3 siblings.
Okay, that's remarkable.
Yes.
And the surveillance shows this, according to the prosecutors?
Every last single thing. What she did was she prevented Hassan from fleeing after he was stabbed. He was trying to run, and she grabbed his arms, and he got away, and she chased him. Her and Travis Stewart. That's the 4th person involved.
So there are 4 people charged in the murder.
Yes.
Now, she got out Christmas Eve.
Yes. Christmas
The other
Eve,
3 guys, her 2 brothers.
they're being held without bail.
The other 3 are held without bail. So why did she get out on such a low bail?
Well, the only thing I can, according to the district attorney, it has everything to do. A large percentage of it has to do with the bail reform law.
Right, which is supposed to be for
For
nonviolent
felony
felonies.
offenses, yes.
Right, and there are like 400 crime categories.
Yes.
So murder is not in the category
And
that was covered under this
Nor
law.
is first-degree gang assault.
So neither of them were covered.
No.
Now, she didn't get out with no bail. There is some bail.
$12,000 because that's what the family said that they could afford. And the judge expressed that she cannot, under the new legislature, cannot increase the bail or any more than that because of what the family can afford.
Is she misreading what the law is,
I
the
think
judge?
so. I think she misinterpreted it.
And what did you say in court? How did you react to this?
I was in shock. I was in shock.
You didn't let the judge know your feelings?
No, because I couldn't say anything because I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
You were speechless?
Yes.
And when you asked the assistant district attorney about it, what was the response?
She told me that, well, she could fight her case from the street. But then ultimately, I had a conversation with her 2 days ago when she told me that her hands were tied, okay? That she didn't want her to be out. She wants her to stay in jail but there's nothing that she could do. She only has but so much power.
She can't overrule the judge.
No. And she also expressed to me that this is going to make it very, very difficult for her to prosecute any of her cases.
Well, now we're getting some responses from
Yes.
viewers. Ty Thomas is saying this is the ultimate insult to this lady. And he's saying he'll never vote Democrat again. A lot of people are blaming the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
We know there are all sides to the story. But, you know, it's become a very political issue.
Oh, yeah.
And before the new law took effect, last week, my colleague, Ayanna Harry, talked about why this movement started. And I want to play a little bit of her piece.
Okay.
They said most likely we're going to let you go home.
His story left a city heartbroken. Khalif Browder spent 3 years on Rikers Island accused of stealing a backpack, all because he couldn't afford $3,000 for his bail.
The unfortunate ending to his story is what sparked urgency.
After a long battle in Albany,
If you can't pay the bail, you sit in jail.
the governor's office estimates in 90% of cases where people are charged but not yet convicted of a crime, New Yorkers will remain out of jail before their day in court.
The public is going to be less safe.
The outcry against bail reform has been loud and steady over the last few weeks, from the NYPD's officers union to Republican lawmakers on Long Island.
For example, manslaughter in the second degree under our penal law is a non-violent felony.
Even President Donald Trump weighed in last month, saying the governor and mayor are letting out 900 criminals, some hardened and bad.
They're not convicted of crimes. They're not criminals. These are people that are afforded the presumption of innocence.
Tahani Abushi is a civil rights attorney. She believes New York's bail reform is long overdue.
All right, the law went through.
Yes.
And people have been released from prison, but now we're in the early days of 2020. Already the legislature, they're saying they should stay in session because they have to revise it. Even the mayor of New York City, who is a progressive, is saying there has to be some tweaking. Some are saying it's because of the attacks on the Orthodox Jews in the city and a woman that had gone out, got out on bail, and then she did another attack, allegedly, but she has some mental health issues.
Yeah.
So are you hopeful that there will be revisions?
Oh, I know that there will be. I know that there will be. For the simple fact that a lot of people in the communities there are no safeguards in place. There are no protections in place, like for me and my family. They have this woman who participated in the murder of another human being free in the street, and there are no safeguards or no protections in place for my family. What if there was some type of retaliation? This is gang affiliated, all right?
Which gang do you?
Bloods.
Allegedly members of the Bloods
Yes,
gang.
yes.
And why would they target your son and his father?
Well, there was initially an altercation earlier in that evening with an unrelated person.
And why were they
Okay.
at the building?
I believe the father's girlfriend lives in that building.
Hassan's father.
Yes, Hassan's father's girlfriend lives in that
So
building.
they were visiting.
They were visiting her, yes.
Right.
And an altercation broke out in the lobby.
Let me show some pictures again of
Yes.
Sergeant Hassan Correa.
Yes.
So a fight broke out in the
Yes.
lobby.
And the guy got beat up pretty bad. And the guy left, and he came back with these 4 people. All right? My son did not know them, nor did he do them any harm. These people didn't have anything to do with this altercation.
Well, we're showing the family photos
Yes.
now, but we
Yeah.
also have photos of Sergeant Hassan Correa. And he is the victim who was
yes.
fatally stabbed. How many times was
11
he?
times.
11
was stabbed
times?
11 times. He died from the fatal stab wound to his heart.
And captured on surveillance,
Yes.
but not released to the public yet,
No.
not released to social media.
No.
Very different than the Junior case,
Yes.
where we saw it in
Immediately,
living
it was
color.
like real time.
Yes.
Yeah. But and then when because the father got knocked unconscious. all right?
Hassan's father was
Yes.
knocked, and he was stabbed.
Yes. When he regained consciousness, he came over to assist Hassan, and the 3 men turned on him and kicked, punched, stomped, and stabbed him 12 times.
Oh.
Yes.
But he survived.
He survived, yes.
And how bad were the wounds?
Oh, it was terrible. He was in critical condition for about a month. He's still recovering, thank God. He's still recovering, you know.
So I also want to play a piece that I did just before the new year. And I gave instances of 2 men who were expected to get out of jail with no cash bail at all, even though they had backgrounds that were disturbing, to say the least. So I want to play that piece that I did in court from about a week and a half ago.
Okay.
Bradley Vick, a Las Vegas resident, is accused of transporting 2 pounds of meth 2 different times through the Port Authority bus terminal. Because the drug charge is considered a nonviolent offense, Vick can't be held in jail anymore, even though he has a history of sex trafficking in New York and did time for that.
The 2 victims in that particular case were 11 and 13 years old.
The defendant is the very definition of a flight risk.
Carlos Medina Palomino received his get-out-of-jail card December 19th, even though he's accused of repeatedly selling cocaine cut with deadly fentanyl to undercover cops.
And they're going to walk away with absolutely no consequence, with few ties to New York, few ties to the U.S.
Palomino is also suspected of trafficking women from Colombia through brothels in Queens. This video allegedly showed him racing from one of them when he was arrested earlier this year. He couldn't make bail under the old law and was making desperate calls to his girlfriend.
Let's leave. I want to go to Colombia.
In court December 19th, Judge Abraham Klott revealed his hands were tied.
The legislature has rejected pretrial detention. When I had the power to make the decision, remand seemed obviously appropriate to me.
In New Jersey, the judges always have the last word. The judges have discretion.
But not in New York.
The defendant is released on recognizance.
How do you feel about getting out of jail?
No, thank you. Good.
Because I know the prosecutor thought you should stay in because you were mixing fentanyl with cocaine.
No.
Palomino then stopped in the bathroom to change out of prison clothes and waited for the next elevator. The key question now, will he return for his next court date?
And I guess that's a question that you're wondering about in your son's case. Will Mary Saunders return for her next court date?
You know, that should be alarming, and that should have been a huge question for the judge, because Mary was offered, off the record, 18 years for her part in the murder.
She was offered a plea bargain?
Yes.
Okay.
Her lawyers rejected it. After trial and conviction, Mary Saunders is looking at 25 years. If that was me, knowing that I'm looking at all this time, that might be the first thing that comes to my mind. The only thing the judge ordered her to do was surrender her passport.
So then maybe she couldn't get out of the country.
I mean, you don't have to run from out of the country. Her brother ran for 7 months and he was right in New Jersey.
Right, okay.
All right?
I want to ask you what toll this has taken on you.
Oh my gosh.
As a mother.
Well, it's some kind of supernatural, spiritual thing that's happening with me, all right? Meaning that it's too much for me to actually wrap my head around the real raw emotion of it. So I got proactive.
Do you think you're still numb? Do you think you're numb?
Yeah, probably. Probably. The only thing I know how to do at this point is to continue to advocate for my son, all right, and continue to advocate for other victims of violence.
So what group are you part of now?
Well, I have my own organization called Rescue Angel, where we offer spiritual healing and trauma support to other families who have suffered loss of life, and also families of offenders. But I also volunteer with Moms Demand Action.
And what action are you demanding?
I'm demanding that if Mary Saunders is not remanded, all right, on the 15th of this month, all right, when she goes back to court, she'll be coming in from the street, and me and some moms are going to be outside that courtroom protesting, and we're going to be inside the courtroom so the judge can see that we're present.
Why would she be remanded if the judge has already granted bail?
Because there's DNA results coming out, all right?
That were not out before?
No, they were waiting for them, okay? There was blood on Mary's shirt and her shoes, which matches her brother's blood, meaning that Mary said that she didn't know that there was blood. That proves that he was close enough to her that she could see he was bleeding.
I want you to look at the camera now. I'm not sure which camera is yours,
Okay.
but I want you to look, and if you could say something to Mary Saunders now, what would you say?
I would say, Mary, I don't hate you, Mary. You know, you're a mother, you're a mom, just like I am. My heart goes out to you, but you participated in the murder of someone. You have to be held accountable and responsible for that. You're not innocent. The video shows it, If you can react that way at the spur of the moment to a person that you didn't even know, what makes anyone think that you cannot react that way again, even with your own child? So you need to get some help, right? If it's not in prison, it's somewhere. And I hope that the Lord has mercy on you and your brothers and your whole family's soul. And your mother, been in court for 15 months. You should be ashamed of yourself. You and your brothers need to be ashamed of your mother is ill, and you're dragging her through all that.
And as we wrap up tonight, Ms. Brame, are you confident that there will be some revisions in the bail reform law?
Yes, I am.
You think?
I'm very confident.
Okay, so we'll see what happens this month.
Very confident.
We'll see what happens on January 15th in
Yes.
court when you go back.
Yes.
And just as we leave tonight, let's show some photos one last time of your son, Sergeant Hassan Correa.
Yes.
What would you like people to remember about your son?
That Hassan was a hero. He was a warrior. He was a warrior. He fought to his very last breath. And Hassan, Mom is going to fight to her very last breath to make sure that justice is served. I love you, and you rest in peace, baby. Sweet child of mine, sweet love of mine.
Ms. Brame, so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
We thank you for coming to the Social Media Center tonight to talk about your son's case and also talk about bail reform.
Yes.
And we wish you the best in the future to you and your family.
Thank you so much.
Okay?
I appreciate
And wish you
having me.
peace, okay?
Thank